And it sounds like we're going to be talking again maybe when this reaches a higher court. Eric Larson, thank you so much.
Almost zero, right? And there is no, estimates don't include
this term.
Trial. CBS's Katrina Kaufman says there's testimony from a woman who had ties with Combs' ex-girlfriend, Cassie Ventura.
Today we're hearing from Mia. That's the pseudonym for a former employee of Combs who's one of
international trade, striking down the vast majority of Donald Trump's tariffs that we've been talking about every day here since January. Also, some of this money apparently has to be repaid to those firms who have already paid it. We're going to get into the details of the ruling with Eric Larson, who I'm lucky to say is with me here in New York. But we want to start at the White House, where this is quite the day here, and reaction from officials right here on Bloomberg. I don't know if the president has been on Truth in the last 5 minutes, but Bloomberg's Tyler Kendall knows. She's stationed on the North Lawn right now. Tyler, what do we know that's coming from the administration on this?
Yeah, hey, Joe. So really moments ago, the Justice Department, we learned, says that they're ready to take this fight to the Supreme Court if that's what it comes to. In a filing, they wrote, quote, absent at least interim relief from this court, the United States plans to seek emergency relief from the Supreme Court tomorrow, meaning Friday. So we're going to have to see how this ends up playing up. Now, keep in mind what happened here was this 3-judge panel ultimately ruled that the Trump administration wrongly invoked IEPA, the International Emergency Economic Powers Act, when they imposed their so-called reciprocal tariff plan. The administration had been arguing that persistent trade imbalances amounted to a national emergency, but the court said that didn't really meet the definition of an extraordinary or unusual threat that's required as by the law in order to use these powers. In fact, you had the plaintiffs saying that really trade deficits have been persistent for decades as one example against it. Now, the White House really is pushing back on this. This extends to the so-called reciprocal tariff plans, but also other cases where IEPA was invoked, including Mexico and Canada tariffs, as well as China tariffs over concerns about the U.S. border and fentanyl. But administration officials, including Peter Navarro, the senior trade advisor who was on Bloomberg television this morning, says that they have a pretty good argument going forward here.
We think we have a strong case. Yes, we will immediately appeal and try to stay the ruling. But at the same time, the court, interestingly enough, basically said we were right, just use different rules and laws. So nothing has really changed here in that sense. We're still, as we speak, having countries call us and tell us they want a deal.
So, Joe, you hear Navarro there sort of allude to the fact that there's some other levers they can pull here when it comes to tariff policy. For example, Section 232. Those are those sector-specific tariffs. We're not expecting those to go away. Those were not impacted by this ruling. They're invoked on the basis of national security concerns, and there's a couple in the pipe, including pharmaceuticals as well as chips. Then also keep your eye on Section 301. That looks into unfair trade practices, but would require an investigation, so might not really last as long. And then lastly, Joe, I'd point you to Section 122. That's going to start coming up a lot. It allows the president to invoke tariffs for 150 days with a 15% ceiling, but it would require him essentially to declare a balance of payments crisis. And at the moment, it's not so clear if the White House would want to do that.
Wow. Listen to Tyler. Everybody's an expert on these rules now. Tyler, thank you so much. Live from the White House. Did you get all that? Section 122, the Trade Act of 1974, Section 232. Most people have never even heard of this court that we're talking about here, but I do turn to our friend Terry Haynes at Pangea Policy for the analysis that might explain what's turning into a blah reaction here on Wall Street. Terry says, on a practical level, well, I'll paraphrase, nothing changes here. Tariffs, as he writes, will continue unabated pending Trump's certain appeal, the CIT's summary judgment ruling. You just heard Peter Navarro. He said it right here on Bloomberg this morning. They're going to appeal this. They're going to try to stay this ruling. So as Terry says, nothing will change. And yeah, guess what? The tariffs will continue. Now, I'm not the expert on this. Eric Larson is. Can you imagine working for Bloomberg's legal team? You've got to cover everything from the handling of sensitive documents to an insurrection to now tariffs. Eric Larson here, who's an expert on everything, apparently. It's good to see you in New York. Thanks for coming on.
That's not quite.
You've helped us walk through a lot of complex cases. We've got another one here, and you just heard Tyler roll through any number of exceptions, exemptions caveats that this White House is talking about. What does this stop, if anything, now?
Yeah, that's a really good question. And as we just heard, there are plenty of ways that a sitting president can implement tariffs, which normally, Congress handles. But there are ways for a president to do it. I think what this 3-judge panel at the Court of International Trade here in Manhattan is saying, you can't do that through the International Emergency Economic Powers Act of 1977. So that law doesn't even mention tariffs, and it had never been attempted to use it before to issue tariffs. So this was a new thing that Trump had tried. So far, it's not working out. The court, a 3-judge panel that included 2 appointees by Republicans, including one by Trump himself, decided that when Congress passed this law, this flat out is not how they intended it to be used. So there are ways that Trump can still do tariffs, but this law, essentially what the administration was saying is that a president can declare anything they want to be a national emergency and then invoke this law to impose tariffs on any country they want for any amount they want for any period of time. And that's how it was discussed in court. There was just a hearing in this court last week on these cases. So the plaintiffs were making it pretty clear, you're overreaching, and this doesn't make sense.
Wow. Now, again, according to some of these rules like Section 232, Section 122, even if this ruling stays in place, the president might have some flexibility, but they want to stay. Is that likely to happen?
I know we have some some people are saying that this isn't a big deal, nothing to see here, there's other ways to do these tariffs, which is true. But on the other hand, they are filing documents with the Federal Appeals Court just recently, a few minutes ago, saying that the government faces irreparable harm if this decision isn't immediately stayed pending appeal, that it will have a devastating effect. That it would unwind months of foreign policy negotiations, this is quoting from the document, and at the expense of the nation's economic well-being and national security. That's how they described it, why they need to stay immediately for this. And they said that if they don't get it, then they will go to the Supreme Court to request an emergency stay tomorrow.
So we're going to spend the rest of our lives going to the Supreme Court here. Apparently, what if the administration just didn't abide by the ruling? What kind of authority does this court have to bring penalty?
Oh, that's a question for the ages. I think we don't really know that quite yet.
This is an administration that might test that.
Right, we're familiar with some of the
gold boom today. This tariff stuff happening last night. It's going on right now. There's court hearings today and stuff been going on. Federal court judges. Trump filed an appeal. So last night, you saw gold dumped, and we seen more uncertainty come into the market. Look at the stock market. The stock market sold off. Assets sold off today. Even Bitcoin still kind of stabilizing. But gold, we see gold had a huge day up, right back up to where it was yesterday.
But during the hearing, I will say that
looks like it's on the way back up, right? This whole situation, we can see some uncertainty being injected into the markets. Last night, this is what's going on right now. So more market volatility. This is going to cause gold just ripped right back up. What do you know? Those buys were coming, and I knew those buys were coming. I got wrecked by gold yesterday. Those buys were coming. Those buys were coming. But now it's like, this is fueling, so you can see gold up day, down, up. You can see everything else, like as far as risk assets go. Stocks down. Interesting stuff going on when we look at where gold is on the weekly. Looking at the weekly chart, and it's right back to where we were talking about kind of at the beginning of the week, that line chart. It's pulled right back up. It's pulled right back up to, if you guys remember, beginning of the week, we were talking about the line chart a bit on the weekly. And yeah, we pulled right back up to there. Maybe we're going to close above here strong on the daily. We've came back. Now we have all this tariff stuff going on. More. You guys kind of might have heard some stuff said there. They're going to be talking about this all day. They've been talking about it all morning. I've been listening for like the last 40 minutes.
That's what a lot of these cases get down to, and this is certainly one of
It's
them.
definitely causing some uncertainty, though, again. We can see that with market reaction today. Fueled gold right back up, even silver.
Can the president declare that a national emergency and put tariffs on peanut butter and basically
Look what they say here.
declare anything they want?
It's that this White House is talking about.
Listen.
What does this stop, if anything, now?
Yeah, that's a really good question. And as we just heard, there are plenty of ways that a sitting president can implement tariffs, which normally, Congress handles. But there are ways for a president to do it. I think what this three-judge panel at the Court of International Trade here in Manhattan is saying, you can't do that through the International Emergency Economic Powers Act of 1977. So that law doesn't even mention tariffs. And it had never been attempted to use it before to issue tariffs. So this was a new thing that Trump had tried. So far, it's not working out. The court, a three-judge panel that included two appointees by Republicans, including one by Trump himself, decided that when Congress passed this law, this flat out is not how they intended it to be used. So there are ways that Trump can still do tariffs, but this law, essentially what the administration was saying is that a president can declare anything they want to be a national emergency and then invoke this law to impose tariffs on any country they want for any amount they want for any period of time. And that's how it was discussed in court. There was just a hearing in this court last week on these cases. So the plaintiffs were making it pretty clear, you're overreaching, and this doesn't make sense.
Wow. Now, again, according to some of these rules like Section 232, Section 122, even if this ruling stays in place, the president might have some flexibility, but they want to stay. Is that likely to happen?
I know we have some some people are saying that this isn't a big deal, nothing to see here, there's other ways to do these tariffs, which is true. But on the other hand, they are filing documents with the Federal Appeals Court just recently, a few minutes ago, saying that the government faces irreparable harm if this decision isn't immediately stayed pending appeal, that it will have a devastating effect. That it would unwind months of foreign policy negotiations. This is quoting from the document, and at the expense of the nation's economic well-being and national security. That's how they described it, why they need to stay immediately for this. And they said that if they don't get it, then they will go to the Supreme Court to request an emergency stay tomorrow.
So we're going to spend the rest of our lives going to the Supreme Court here. Apparently, what if the administration just didn't abide by the ruling? What kind of authority does this court have to bring penalty?
Oh, that's a question for the ages. I think we don't really know that quite yet.
This is an administration that might test that.
Right. We're familiar with some of the immigration-related matters, and of course the famous case of the El Salvadoran man who was deported to that mega prison, and the Supreme Court said you need to facilitate his return, and TBD what happens with that. But we're not at a point where we are expecting the government to just ignore a decision. I would think that, as they've indicated, there are other ways to try to do tariffs, but you can see they're going to fight tooth and nail, clearly, for Trump to be able to use it through this law, which is pretty sweeping if it works.
Well, you mentioned that we have judges appointed by President Trump in one case, Obama, and Ronald Reagan.
Right.
Do these three judges tell us anything about what the SCOTUS would think?
It's impossible to really say. We know that these judges are sometimes
my job
unpredictable.
To ask you impossible questions.
But during the hearing, I will say that they did appear to be skeptical in some of the questions that they were asking the Justice Department lawyers on this matter. Kind of had me thinking that might be the way that they were leaning, and of course now we've seen that they were. But I guess the question boils down to a lot of these court cases that Trump is involved in over a lot of his executive orders on everything under the sun. How sweeping is the president's executive power?
Anyway.
That's what a lot of these cases get down to, and this is certainly one of them.
Hi, I'm Michael. As we look ahead to 2025, it's clear this is a meaningful...
On top of that, one of the judges during the hearing asked, okay, so what if there's a peanut butter shortage? can the president declare that a national emergency and put tariffs on peanut butter? And basically the government was like, well, maybe. So,
anything's possible.
Yeah.
Wow, fascinating. If you like peanut butter, this is incredible, and it sounds like we're going to be talking again maybe when this reaches a higher court. Eric Larson, thank you so much.
Well, folks,
in the clutch, as always, Bloomberg's legal reporter, and thanks as
you're
well
seeing
to Tyler
volatility
Kennedy at the White House as we try to put this
every week,
together
every
on the
day, every other day,
political
maybe.
side. We'll do this next on the economic side.
Because there's stuff going on. You know, one thing happens and then stuff changes. It's an ongoing situation that it's not going to fix overnight. You can see there's a lot of fighting, sentences going on. So it's interesting, this tariff situation. That's what's causing a lot of volatility, sometimes unstable conditions to catch those swings. Because the market reacts and the market waits, waiting for things to play out. This is all going in court right now. U.S. federal courts. All of this is happening right now as a national emergency. So it's interesting to see when you tie everything together, like gold, obviously. Big day up since last night compared to everything else. End of the month coming as well. We didn't have necessarily a bearish month. We're still up here. Last week was extremely bullish. Me and my trading days, nothing I've experienced this type of volatility. Week after week, sometimes day after day, when it's just like unexpected news that comes out too. Ooh, yeah, my 10 years of trading, it's definitely something to adapt to. Looking at the weekly though on gold, we're right back. What's back where we were talking about at the beginning of the week. So slow it down. It's going to be interesting to see how today closes. When we go to the day, when we consider where the weekly is right now, weekly's back at here. You're back at this structure point. Gave us a big move down on the weekly. Coming right back up. When we break it down to a daily, extremely bullish candle on the daily today. Probably, if there's a lot of uncertainty right now, you know, last night gold tanked. And I was thinking, maybe this whole situation now to taking U.S. federal court blocks President Trump's Liberation Day tariffs from taking effect. Maybe in the moment it's like thinking like, oh, maybe that's going to ease things off. But it's like it's still going to cause some uncertainty once again, more volatility. You kind of saw what they were saying there on Bloomberg. Nobody really knows what this means. And even with the tariffs, like coming into the whole tariffs, no analyst, no one would have expected the result of the tariffs on when he brought out that big board. Anyone remember the big boards that he brought out? No one was even thinking that was gonna happen. No one came even close to thinking those numbers. So this is the whole news right now that's spooking the market up once again. Maybe this is creating another fear stage. Like, where's crypto? Wonder how fast we go back to like fear soon if the market keeps dipping. We were just in greed. Didn't get to extreme greed. I wonder if this brings us back down into like more of a fearful stage soon. If how this on goes forward, especially next week. We're ending the month off soon, right? New month, going into June. You can see with the stock market down today, this caused a little spoof. Wonder what Trump's gonna do next, because he's trying to fight this. I don't know if he said anything on Truth Social, but he's obviously appealing this in the courts. And then they're kind of declaring this as a national emergency when you look around at the headlines. I don't know if he's come out and said anything. I haven't been looking at the news. I was just watching Bloomberg in the last bit. Do I have a True Social account? I don't have one. Damn. You gotta be signed in. Anybody been keeping up with this? Happened last night. Like, it happened this week. Going into June, we have all our lovely crypto news happening. See, risk assets taking a hit except for gold. Everything more taking a hit today except for gold and silver. But your risk on assets are taking that hit because of this. Dollar even crashed down. Bitcoin correlating to the dollar more. You know, risk assets. Bitcoin's a risk asset, so watch this dip. Watch this dip as it starts to occur, right? I mean, it's not down that much of a percentage. We're down 4%. If this keeps going to 10% or more, watch this dip as it occurs. Even now, it could flip back up. See what gold did real quick. Watch this Bitcoin dip, where obviously we just went really quickly from greed. Just in a couple days, we're still in greed, but if this comes down, we start to get like a bit back to that neutral fear stage. Be interesting to keep an eye on price where it's at if it's dropping lower. We went over a lot of news. There's been a lot of positive news on crypto in the last week, last month, last 48 hours, last 24 hours. Yeah, we see Bitcoin dipping, but I don't think that's all bad and everything, especially with this tension rising again. More volatility probably going to be coming in the markets. As we've seen a lot of volatility this year so far. Yeah, the indicator, I got to fix it because I made it public. I got to make it private, so I got to fix the indicator tonight. I did something wrong in the settings. Because it's invite only, I guess I have to have one thing fixed, so I have to fix it. I think I have to redo it, re-upload it. So I feel like we might come back into maybe a fear stage. Maybe this spooks the market a bit. It already is. Gold's probably going to finish bullish on that daily. Weekly still looks interesting to me because we're above that level. I wonder where we are tomorrow going into next week. We took out all buyers for sure, you know. Took out these lows. Swept those lows on gold. Might be trying to break this high. Let me make that a different color. Yellow. We swept all those lows and made a swift move up. And it's, when we think about the move, it makes sense why the move happened. Some uncertainty. We came back down to this level here. Perfect reaction at 32.50. I was hoping it was going to pull back last night. If this pulled back more, I would have then went in. So it looks like we just did a huge, like we're trying to do a huge shift up on price with gold. Gold's the only thing that went up a lot today because of what happened last night. If we can break up above more, could probably then look for pullback situations. Like if it can get above 32.25. Maybe tomorrow's day can push up, or we got, like, look at today, bullish candle, rejection. That's probably going to close like that today. Looks like the 4 hour. When you look at the 4 hour, we got that high there that I marked with the little yellow circle, came down, made the low. Looks like it's trying to break out of that. And the whole movement took out these lows. If you were in buys, you probably got stopped out on that move. And then boom, it went right up. came down to here. Perfectly retested here. So it could be still, it could be trying to go on the way up. If this whole, you got to pay attention to how this goes forward. It's probably going to, it's already causing more uncertainty. The whole tariffs thing last night, federal court hearing, Trump appealing to it. It's kind of spooking the market. You can see this morning. That's what I noticed when I first looked at the charts and saw everything was down today except for gold. Gold, the only thing that's really up, green. And currency pairs that, like Euro USD's hella up. Came back to that zone I told you guys about last week. Talked about Euro USD last week. I think it's still in here. Yeah, there it is. Euro USD. We talked about this last week. Literally came, there it is. Boom. Came back to that same zone. Currency pairs look like they're pushing up, right? We can see that. Gold looks like daily. So when you look at the daily, this looks like it could be trying to go up on the daily here. We swept the lows, see? Took out those lows. This could be trying to break out. Came down to the resistance here. Perfectly hit it. Boom. Reacted. Swept the lows. Stop losses hit. Flings up. In that one move and all that movement, we got boom. High. Low. Breaking that high right now. You can see that high is getting broken above right now. This here. Okay, so we could try to, on the daily, it could try to like maintain and stay above that high. Go to daily, it looks like a little bit like of a pennant pattern. When you look at a daily chart here, with all the uncertainty, good daily move, probably confirming here. Looks like a breakout, right? Maybe coming. Pretty much looking like what happened here. In a way, you can see what price had over here. This support, it took out those lows and then ran up. We had support here. We just took out the lows. This could be trying to run up. Or we go one more crazy dip, same thing. But on the weekly, so this is 4 hour. I have this high here, right? This high right here. Could be trying to shift above like a market structure shift, right? Because you took out these lows. These lows got taken out. Grabbed the lows, went up. So daily looks bullish from that too. Like when you're looking at like patterns, this kind of looks like a pennant, trend line breakout. Maybe going into June or even tomorrow, like maybe there's continuation tomorrow into next week, or we get like a wick down, similar to what happened on the week, like how this wick down and then went up. We get another wick down continuation. But weekly looks interesting. I'd keep an eye on like this weekly chart with gold. Maybe going into June, end of like tomorrow, going into June as well, like end of the week, beginning of next week. I keep an eye on this because it's literally right back. What's interesting, it's like right back to where I remember saying one session it could, I didn't think it would go down all the way here, but I remember even saying one session at the beginning of the week it could try to come down and close above still. If you go back to some of the first two sessions I did this week, I mentioned like there could even be a wick down and market still close above this at some point in the week. So if it tries to hold this, like I still could try to give a try for that swing that same analysis we did at the beginning of the week. But maybe going into June, especially if all this uncertainty keeps up. But I would keep an eye on that weekly level that we're above. Maybe we're trying to hold that. You could keep an eye on the 4 hour. This high on the 4 hour. See if the market holds that. It could be trying to hold that. Or you get more of a break above that clear break and more continuations. Classic setup we've seen a lot. Could be trying to shift out of that. Yeah, today is day 3 of that conference going on, if I'm not mistaken. I think you can watch it on YouTube. Let me see, is it here? You can watch like the you can watch it the next day, but the day after. Wonder if it's live right now. I don't think so. I think starting soon. Probably starting soon. Some talks, this type of stuff. Talk. I don't know if this is it. This is Bitcoin Magazine. They're there. We're in a bubble. Day 3 of Bitcoin conference is going on right now, and Bitcoin's been dropping all morning. Gold's been going up. When you look at Bitcoin, this is the longest it's been above 100K. It's definitely spooky season, exciting times. $100,000 market could retrace back to $100,000. Think about that. That would be total from the high, a 10% correction if it were to go back to 100K. Right now, you could see for Bitcoin, like on a technical approach, it's above the previous all-time high that we rallied. This is the longest. Now we've been spending even more longer time above 100K, which is kind of impressive. We had some sell-off today because of the tariff news and this whole federal court appeal with Donald Trump. Stuff's going on. I don't really know. It's kind of out of my jurisdiction of technical analysis. So you have to really, you have to study it, see, like no one really knows. So that's why you're going to have a lot of you might have like last night, gold pretty much like crap. You would have saw last night, there was a time where like gold just dumped really quickly. You'll have volatility like that these days, up or down, where the market sells off, then creates buys. Last night sells off, then creates buys. That's the volatility that you'll probably have to get used to seeing this year, is these big sell-offs that create the buys. These you have a big sell-off here, and then some buys get created, but it goes down more. These moves, these big sell-offs down, these bigger sell-offs. That's what I've been noticing. Either the buys are usually coming in New York session, or it's either going into London, New York session, or big sell-offs like this that create the buys. Might seem like random moves. Might seem like a random move. Might be like, whoa, what the heck just happened? Like, holy, the market's kind of like last night. Maybe if you were watching gold last night, you'd kind of like get a feeling or know what I'm talking about. So like these big moves down. Right now we're on the 1 hour time frame, so I've highlighted some of them like with this purple box. Like, so all these drops are 1 hour candles. I'm on the 1 hour chart at the moment. So throughout this year, you'll have to for buys, you'll have to let moves like that happen. That go maybe a good amount of time on the hourly, that go a big drop, like maybe bigger than we're used to, above 20, like $40, $50 movements. We're usually used to seeing those nice $20, $30 moves, whatever. Those like $20 would be, I remember like when I would send signals, $20 moves would be like the TP. And if you hit a $20 move, it would be like, holy, these drops alone are giving like $80 moves, $90 moves, $50 moves, $60 moves on average. So you're getting like big drops, big rises. The pumps and the dumps are big. If you look at these are on the hourly. You got big drops, sell-offs, this drops $93, this drops $65, this drops $77 in a couple of hours. Remember, we're on the hourly chart right now, not the moment. So you look at the hourly, even like here, see some of these drops that might be maybe random at the time. I might be like, oh my gosh, what just happened? The market's going crazy. Maybe there's news that hit as well. Like here, that's at 7 a.m. So you can see there's buys that come after that. Like, would have been good for scalping. Probably would have had some profit point at some point if you're buying in here, but not long term. And then you got another one here that goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 hours down. But in that 5 hours, price drops $73. back in the day, for anybody who's been around, back in the day, that would usually be like a $30-$40 move at the most. So like anyone who knows, so like $20 moves were pretty big to see, like gold 2-3 years ago, 3-4 years ago. Volatility has kicked up to regularly seeing these $70, $80, $60 moves even in a couple of hours. So when you look at this, it's 5 hours of movement down. So when you're looking for buys, like buys, you typically like would want something that looks like this, something that has dropped a good percentage gain. I mean, for gold, percentage isn't like crypto. If gold drops 2%, it's a lot. Whereas in crypto, 2%, depending, like if Bitcoin drops 2%, then most cryptos are, the whole crypto ecosystem is affected by that 2% drop on Bitcoin, right? That 2% can be much worse on other things, like Bitcoin's down 1% today. And you can see where the whole crypto market's at because of that, right? Now, except for Telegram had some news, launching news yesterday, I saw. Alrighty. Right now, gold's testing the 25 level. I'd like to watch it come back on tonight and see where price actions are, or tomorrow morning. Missed buys last night. Missed the buys last night. But yeah, these big moves, because last night is the most recent one, this here, which was caused by this too. Like there can be times where a random move might happen, but it's like boom. So Watcher Guru 17 hours ago, if you were on the charts, or even if you weren't on the charts, you would have seen, right? You guys probably know exactly what I'm talking about. Last night, see this candle. So that candle alone is almost a $40 candle. After that, the market drops $42, but you have a total move of $57 in a couple hours. At times where it's like literally that's 15, 16. So market close in here, market open, like in the market open hours. So these types of drops, they might seem like crazy. Sometimes random, like I said, random. You might be like, oh my God, random drop, this thing's, but they could be what fuels accumulation or buyers after. Right now, 32, you wouldn't want to be looking for buys here. You'd want to see again where price is around the times where these buys are usually coming in New York hours, late Tokyo hours, closer to London. New York going into New York, or like late Tokyo hours going into London is where I'm seeing buys happen more with gold. Or major sell-offs, like a major sell-off on the hourly or 4 hourly. That's literally like some of these movements you see over here that are dropping. Back over here, you can measure some of these movements. You can go on your chart and do way more areas, but lately when you look at gold, even just here, and you look at the dumps, that's what gives you the buys. Like you're getting the buys on the moves that might seem fearful. Look at that's a $40 drop. That's more what we're used to. But some of these go faster. See, some of these are faster than others. Like this is $72 in 5 hours. Whereas up here is $65 in like 3 hours. Some of these moves are faster and more volatile, more extreme. Or it might seem like a panic moment, a fearful moment. You kind of got to just let it do its thing. Let those moves happen. Like these, even these are like 2%, 2% moves, over some of them over 1 point somewhat percent. This week you could see kind of just two scenarios where there was a dip. So like even waiting to see where we are late tonight or New York tomorrow, if there's any other crashes, if we're looking for buys. Not here. You'd want price to go up, then pull back if it's here. You might reject here on the 4 hour. Like you're at 33.25, but market's gone up for the day. Market had some good opportunity. I'm gonna wait to see where we're at tonight, or if anything tomorrow morning. You just have one good week. Find a good setup, but Missed last night's buys. I was trying to buy New York Tuesday, was buying New York yesterday. Stop loss under the lows, boom, tapped. Then she ran. It went down way more, so I looked at it. I got taken out, and then looked at it an hour later, and I was like, holy, this thing dropped even more. Came right to here. Easy area. Should have saw it coming. 32.50. I think I said on one session, if it goes down, I did say on one session, if it goes down, it'll come here. Maybe react. So yeah, those crashes, get used to seeing these moves this year. These big sell-offs. They could start accumulation after. Get used to this year seeing these. Back here we can see, just to kind of anticipate. It's June, July, August. We've seen just in this month. This is May. We're just looking at May here. You can see just in May alone. The only buys you're getting, the buys after corrections or dips, crashes. Some of them might look like crashes because remember, some of these are faster than others, right? You got this drops, but you can see in literally 1 hour here, it drops $60, and then it starts some buys, but then you get another drop. So these are even signs of like drop, sideways, continuation, reversal. So seeing these this year, like remember that, seeing these types of moves this year, you'll see more of these. You'll see more of these, right? Especially with this ongoing news uncertainty, you'll see more of these types of, we could call them like flash crashes, corrections, right? Market retracements, but they're fast. Man, leverage trading though, that like I don't put everything in it. Like you see that guy, James Wynn, who's now down. That's the thing. Leverage trading, you don't do it all the time. You do it, like that's what I've learned. Maybe he does his comeback, but there was a guy who made like 80 million leverage trading and then I think lost it all, and now is, maybe last I checked, was in the negative. I mean, the guy's not playing it safe, and that's how you make. But like he's no risk, no Rari. Is that, I don't know if you guys have been following that whale that was leverage trading that made like 88, 89 million, but then was down. Now it like lost all of it. I think like didn't lose his whole account. But guy's still probably trading. Guy's still probably at it. Yeah, I'm looking at the Twitter. Guy's probably gonna get liquidated more and more and more. Market makers are gonna liquidate him. Like guy's probably in drawdown right now. He's on Bitcoin buys. I saw last. The comeback with entry price 108, liquidation price. Yeah, it's gonna seek his liquidation price. I don't know if you guys seen that. Anyone see that? He was down like 1.3 mil. And he's in Bitcoin buys at 108. Last I checked, he's in Bitcoin buys at like $108,300. So where's his liquidation? I think it's at 106. Can hit his liquidation. His liquidation. Buy his liquidation. His liquidation's right here. Like around there. if it flashes down, buy the liquidation. I mean, he's trading on like 40x leverage, so he's doing position values of like billion, like he's trading on 40x multiplier. So like, yikes! Hey, you know, I've traded on 10x is even just, trading on 10x leverage. It's hefty itself. Yeah, by his liquidation price. It's funny if you watch like his orders, he'll buy and then it'll go down and then he'll sell, and then you see the FOMO, you see the emotional trading there. He could have just took profit and chill and went on vacation for 30 days. That's what you got to do. Pre-London, where I'm seeing the buys. So if you're, buys to keep it more safe. Like, so good trading plan for like I was gonna say the rest of the month. Maybe going into June. If we're looking for buys, more so pre-London. Like I call it late Tokyo, pre-London. For buys, late Tokyo, pre-London. That's where I'm seeing buys are coming. Pre-New York, going into New York. You're getting your buys. More for gold. Second court blocks Trump's tariffs. How to identify TPs? Usually like usually looking for highs and lows. I'd have to go over that one session. I mean, the guy's still at it. Go on Twitter. It's right here. Let's see what he posted 5 hours ago. But we're going to wrap it up here, guys. That's it for the day. Got to get going. Taking the day off. I'll be back on tonight. Spent the last week, like, recording so much. Was tired. Finally slept. finally slept. Spent the last, like, 7 days in front of a screen recording. Getting back to it Saturday. Took a little break. New month loading. Yeah, gold wrecked me this week and last week. Had a good start of the month. Crypto. You guys saw my crypto month, so I'm okay. It's like one thing goes up, one thing it's like fuck. It's never both. I swear it's never both. It's like I either have a banging week with gold and crypto's down for that week, or crypto's fucking up and then have like a bad week with gold. It's never both, I swear. When it's both, it's like, yeah. It's never both, I swear. Can't have the best of both worlds, I swear. On some weeks or months, even this month with crypto is crazy. You guys saw. Got some USDT on the side just in case. Never know. Got some USDT reserves just in case we see maybe a summertime correction before end of the year pump. When I say end of the year pump, I mean like September going into December. So end of the year, September, October, last quarter of the year, Q4. September, October, November, December, end of the year pump. If we either get like a summer correction. So because of this, got some USDT on the side, like 6 figures sitting, chilling. Just in case, never know. Never know. We've been here. If we go down this summer, we could always come back here, right? Remember that, right? However, if there's a summer correction, summer flash crash, could happen. You gotta always think of the worst case scenarios. If there's a summer black swan event, flash crash, fearful stage, could happen. There's a likelihood of it. Prices can always come back to here, right? It's either we remain above like 100K consolidate. Like it's probably gonna chop around the next couple months. I can see like two scenarios: chop around the next couple months, remain above 100K. Like more bearish, chop around, end of the year pump, or you get like a big correction, end of the year pump. Still like end of the year pump. Like we might chop around for a bit, stabilize. 100K is not that far though. This is the longest it's been above 100K. It could try to stay above 100K, but it could chop around. Looks like it might go for that guy's liquidation price. $300 away. Liquidation. This guy's just buy his liquidations. You know, buy this guy's liquidation price. I think on Saturday we'll go over like, yeah, like I've seen a few scenarios. People have said chop around for the summer before going up end of the year. There's a few scenarios that kind of end all off with the same roadmap that could happen. One of them is just staying above 100K, stabilizing above 100K, and market ripping up. Some of them contribute, like if US Reserve comes in sooner than later, that could pump up. But the other two scenarios are kind of like the same, where it's chop around, find more correction. There's three scenarios, right? The two are pretty much the same, where it's either we get a big summer correction, end of the year pump, one scenario, or we chop around above 100K for the summer. We pump, we recover, we pump, we kind of chop around, and then we pump end of the year. So like two of them are pretty much like the same scenario. One of them is just way more fearful. The other would be also like, the third one would be like news contribution, like price remains above 100K, but there's news catalysts that fuel it to pump, like US Reserve launches. Like we stabilize, consolidate above 100K. 100K kind of becomes normal. Price stabilizes above there for a bit of a period of time throughout the summer. News can contribute onto that. What if US Reserve comes out in a month or something? USA does its first purchase of Bitcoin Reserve, right? US strategic bill passes. USA starts buying Bitcoin. That could be a fuel thing where if we're above 100K and that happens, it fuels it to just pump up, right? There's three scenarios this year that we could look at for a roadmap, but they all pretty much end up with the same thing. All right. I think on Saturday we'll do that, or tomorrow we'll talk about it a bit. But two of the scenarios involve like if price comes back to 100K, this will turn into fear. Okay? So you have to understand like the sentiment in the scenarios as well. I could probably talk about this for 3 hours straight. But we'll do this for another call because it would take some time. You'd have to understand too, when we go into those stages, like if Bitcoin were to drop to 100K, where would sentiment be at for the overall market, right? Probably fearful, right? We chop around, we recover, we chop around, we have some flashes down. That would cause fear, right? If price stabilizes, even if it chops around for the next couple of months, but still goes lower in that, still finds lower pricing while going down, while stabilizing, those phases will cause fear, right? Look what it did in here. Every time it went here, the market was at mass fear. Every time it came to like 80K, the market was at extreme fear. So if it were to come down and find prices, every time it would do that, it would find fear. The scenarios we can look at for Bitcoin all end up with the same kind of roadmap, end of the year pump. We're rich as fuck, basically, end of the year, Q4. we can gauge it through time. Like it's gonna be this. It's gonna be the same thing we were doing in here. We're not gonna find it overnight, but we're gonna have to gauge it and watch it. We could be aggressive at these prices, knowing it can go down. Like we could be aggressive knowing it could pump anytime, right? We could be aggressive knowing it could pump anytime, but same time we got to be cautious because summer's coming. Summer, there can be some. Usually before September, there is crash, let's call it. So how big can that be? Like crypto can drop pretty fast. So one of the scenarios is it dropping fast. That means if that scenario happens, it will go up faster end of the year, catastrophically. If you get the scenario we don't want, the fastest one, the most chaotic, the most fearful, the fastest, the worst, then when that recovers, you'll get the best out of it. You'll get the fastest recovery out of that too, and you'll get an explosive market condition. If let's just say, with all the hype and adoption going on right now, if the worst case scenario were to happen with Bitcoin this year, it would go up faster. It would go banana mode, we call it. It would go crazy after that. There's something coming that could bring a market back into a fear cycle in the summertime, right? Depends on how this gauges with 100K first. Right now it's above 100K. Can we stay above 100K is the question, right? Can we maintain above 100, right? You know, we could come back into the hundreds, the 100K or 90s even. Still worth something. Could chop around like that for a couple months. End of the year rally. Price prediction for end of the year, closer to $200,000 a coin. I'd say like 150 is real, like 130, 140, 150 is realistic. Like if you're looking to get out and just sell at a proper price, it's gonna go to the 120s. 120, 125. Think about 125 or 120s. That would be great. We still haven't fully broke the all-time highs. We're pretty much flirting with it. This is the longest we've been above 100K. I mean, first time really ever when we consider it. We tried over here. 120, I think end of the year target. So end of the year, closer to 200K. Especially if this U.S. Reserve comes out. If this U.S. Reserve comes out, closer to 200K. That's like max target. If you're looking for more of like, so bullish full bull case, you know, minimum would be 125K to like 150K. The number's there, the math's there. I think by end of the year, regardless, even if we have like worst case scenario, this thing will, you see how fast this just went up in a couple months. We've seen faster in crypto. Depends, like if we hold 100K, think about it, we'll go to 125 soon. If we hold 100K, we'll be at 120, 125 soon. Depends on the news, it depends on what's happening. Go watch last night's session. I'll do another. There was so much news in the last month, in the last day, in the last week. We went over some of it last night. If you missed last night's session, I'm about to wrap it up. Yeah, put in a lot of work this week. You guys will see, well, Inner Circle will see it probably in a month. Like we're recording a lot. Yeah, President Trump's meeting with Jerome Powell right now, I think, at the White House. Today, yeah. Second U.S. court. Yeah, it looks like they're meeting. Yo, if rate cuts happen, if U.S. rate cuts happen, then crypto will explode. Oh, attaboy. Huh. That's just breaking news. Let me repost that. Breaking news. Tesla to buy an additional $3 billion worth of Bitcoin. Huh. GameStop bought last... Yo, fam, that's big. Pakistan announces to... Oh, man. Bruh. Avalanche. Oh, man, that's the one coin I don't have Avalanche. And it's like a coin I should have. I feel like I should have Avalanche. You know? I feel like it's a coin I should have. I don't have Avalanche. No, I don't have Avalanche, but I feel like I should. GameStop bought yesterday morning, and then Tesla apparently is going to buy $3 billion more worth of Bitcoin. Tesla has never sold the Bitcoin they own either. HODL gang. Pakistan announces to establish a strategic... Oh, man. Yeah, nations are coming. States are already coming. Look at Elon. See, Elon Musk officially leaves the Trump administration. And look at this. Next day, look at the news. Pump Tesla. Buy Tesla. Tesla's down hard. Not financial advice. Don't take that as financial advice. I know I said, but you know, I'm just, you know, maybe it's a signal. Maybe I'll buy Tesla. I'll say it like that. Maybe I'll buy Tesla. Tesla has been dropping hard because of all this, and now they're gonna rally. Tesla dropped hard. Elon was getting a lot of hate. Now they're buying Bitcoin apparently. Maybe they'll pump after they buy Bitcoin too. More. Apple's down. Been down. We went over last night a lot of news. Well, not like a good amount. We went over a good amount of news last night about crypto. Check it out if you missed last night's stream. Watch, like, it was a good part. Yeah, no, it depends on what, you know, like, prices where it's at. People are still acquiring at these prices. People who can, people who want to, even nations, apparently. Doesn't mean prices can't go down, test 100 or the 90s. Shake people out, fear, create more market sentiment. Your roadmaps really depend on the next couple of weeks and the next month. We're going into a new month now. We finished the month pretty strong for Bitcoin, we could say. And now we're above 100K still. We're above that previous structure. Really depends on this month now. Like, does this month maintain, stay above going into July? July. Where are we going into July? For Bitcoin, if we're looking for another pump month, but we had a rally up, it could, you know, maintain the 100. That would be one of the roadmaps, but it's one we have to kind of gauge through and watch. Or it's like if you're, it's one you'd have to take at, like if you're looking at the market, there's different plays. Like someone who'd be more aggressive, maybe wouldn't want to miss out, would be thinking, okay, maybe 100K could hold, right? Going into June. Like you're still above the 100. You've been kind of stabilizing here. Maybe going into June, we maintain and stay above 100K. Whether we go back to it. So it's looking at like where price is on a technical point. We know news could send it down. Like if there's bad news, could send it down. But lately, we haven't seen so much bad news. But yeah, guys, we're out. That's going to be it for the day. Peace out. Hope you guys enjoyed the session. We'll keep up with more research. Saw a podcast. Yeah, like by the year 2030, like 2030, Bitcoin will be at a big price, right? Worst case scenario, $300,000, $400,000 a coin in 2030. Or best case scenario, over $1 million a coin, $1 million a coin. Middle case, maybe 700,000, 500,000 a coin. Like, I think of Bitcoin not only just for now, like where's it going to be end of the year? End of the year, yeah. Like we can have an end of the year target, but the way I look at Bitcoin is, man, where's 4 years, 5 years from now? What's it going to be worth per coin? I'm thinking this year we're going to get a super run at some point again. We've seen a couple. We'll have one more big run this year. Where does that take us? Obviously 120, 125 is in sight, but 150, 175, it might not seem like that's possible, but there's a lot of adoption going on. Things behind the scenes that are going to keep rolling out. More things to come too. So end of the year, yeah, we got to have a target 150 to 200K range by the end of the year. But think about Bitcoin 4 or 5 years from now. Where will that be? It's already hit 112,000 per coin. Very fast. Like, think about how fast we did this. January, 109,000. April, 75,000. 112,000. Just in this timeline, we did that. I mean, the reason you're seeing people buy Bitcoin the way they are, and they're going to try to shake you out. There's going to be another, they're going to try to shake you out, and there will be a bear market that comes. But a lot of coins like Ethereum just went through pretty much a bear market. Is one thing a lot of people don't realize too. Ethereum just lost like 70% value. Anything losing 70% is a bear market. It lost 60. That's not a correction. That's a bearish stage, right? Ethereum lost almost 70% value, right? That's a bearish stage, really. Yeah, maybe down today, maybe up. I mean, today, we've been down. Stocks, assets are dropping. Think about what happened today. Gold dropped, gold went up. Assets been going down. It'll probably stabilize these prices. It'll be going down, up. It's, I think, finding buys, though. On the bigger picture. Maybe 100K gets retested, but. Yeah, could come down. But we're going to wrap it up. Weekly's turning bearish. Yeah, weekly's turning bearish now. Depends on how the weekly closes. New month coming. Easily this one, if we see like a couple $1,000s of drops now, like if we see Bitcoin drop $5,000, $3,000, $4,000, this goes quicker back to fear. It's crazy when you how much tension, how much emotion now gets cycled back in. Yeah, like does look like it could come down. You're right, maybe a bit. Probably gonna take out that person's liquidation price. It's not that far. Summertime, if you study Bitcoin, look at Bitcoin by August. Look at Bitcoin. So study Bitcoin August going into September. It can be bearish August going into September. We'll do a lesson on that maybe tonight or tomorrow. We'll be on tomorrow. Study where it is around like August going into September. Like we're going into June and we're higher up. June, we're kind of where we were last. We're kind of similar to where we were last end of May. Kind of stabilizing before a big drop. Pumps in July. Last July pumped, but August into September dumped. Last year, Bitcoin made this high, and it corrected, and it came back to the high. So this year, Bitcoin made this high, corrected, came back to the high. High, came back, corrected, went to the high. Stabilized, had a crash. Pumped back up in July. Crashed into August, September, end of the year rally. So it could do what it did last year. There could be a crash down. Maybe even apparently all the way back down to here. Rally. Fucking end of the year fucking explosion. It's similar to price action last year, but if you study Bitcoin kind of like end of the year, you'll see what I'm talking about. But we're out. I'll be on maybe tonight. If not tonight, we'll be on in the morning, and all weekend for Inner Circle. Peace out, peace out, peace out.